Hey guys, this is Michael with Elite Truck. This will be our first video in a multi-part installation series focusing on this brand new Ford Transit van and installing this WeatherGuard commercial van package seen right here. So make sure you check out the rest of the series and follow along with our progress. Before we get into the install, we wanted to give a special shout out to Minges Bottling Group for letting us work on their brand new van and install this whole package into it. We're blessed to have great partners like them who allow us to do such cool projects like this. In this first video of the series, we're going to be installing the bulkhead and the door conversion kit that we've got. Bulkheads are a great way to protect the driver in the event of an accident, and with the conversion kit that we've got right here, it actually adds utility to the whole system as well because the driver can access the cargo area from inside the van. Just a quick note before we get started with the installation today, being that this is a high roof transit van and not a low roof or a mid roof, the bulkhead installation is going to be a little bit different. So if you do have a mid roof or a low roof transit, make sure that you pay close attention to those specific set of instructions. There's going to be some differences between those models. Additionally, we're using a swing out door kit like I mentioned before, and because of that, our installation process is going to be a little bit different. So if you opted not to have the swing out door, make sure that you reference your specific instruction set. The first step on the install on this bulkhead is going to be installing this pocket onto the door itself. You can put it on the front side or the back side of this door, but we opted so that the driver can place their documents right here, so it's going to be on the front side for us. The second step on the install is going to be taking the driver's side panel and installing the hinges onto it. Each hinge is going to require 3 screws and 3 nuts to install. Go ahead and install the hinges onto the door panel now. So now that you have the hinges installed onto the door panel and to the door, you can work on the doorknob itself. In order to install that, you're going to be taking the locking side of the doorknob and the gasket and the countersunk screws. Insert them in from the cab side. Once you've got those tightened down, you're going to be working on the paddle and the non-locking handle. Get those aligned correctly and then tighten down the set screws and the doorknob is completely installed. All right, so at this point in the installation, we've got the bulkhead in the van. It's loosely installed on the sides. It's just being held up, essentially. We got a couple bolts on the sides there, a couple bolts right there. Next thing I'm gonna work on is getting this header panel, and I'm using it as an alignment tool to essentially make sure that everything is nice and straight up here, and I've got some cardboard shims at the bottom doing the exact same thing, keeping everything lined up. The next step of what we're about to do is to mark the rubber floor for the threaded inserts that are gonna go into the floor, and then the bulkhead comes out, we put the threaded inserts into the ground, and the bulkhead's gonna go back in and be installed for the final time. Before marking these spots on the floor, make sure you put a level on the bulkhead. In order to install the plus nuts into the floor, you're gonna need to prep the floor by drilling a couple holes. Start off with an 1/8 inch drill bit as a pilot hole, then move on to a 1 inch hole saw, and then finish off the hole with a 3/8 drill bit. All right, so now that we've got the holes drilled here in the floor, the next step is going to be to install the threaded insert. You're going to assemble it like so with the threaded insert, then the spacer, then a washer, and then the black oxide bolt. As you put this into the floor, you're going to be holding this portion of it with a 14mm and then tightening right here with a 10mm. As you tighten it, eventually this portion will mushroom out and be left inside the floor, and then you'll have a threaded insert to install the rest of the bulkhead too.
Pivot.
Yep, perfect. All right, so as you can see, the bulkhead is pretty much installed into the van currently. We've got the floor all installed, the sides are installed. Only thing left really is this top portion, the header panel. And we've run into a slight issue where the spacing between the header panel and the header reinforcement is a little bit too far for me to feel comfortable starting the self-tappers. So what I'd recommend doing here is we're actually gonna take the header panel off, take it out of the van. We're gonna trim this headliner a little bit, trim the foam a little bit, and that should give us the space we need to get this secure and flush up against the wall. Obviously, we're going a little bit off script of the instructions here, but occasionally you'll need to do that and get creative. All right, so we've wrapped up the install on this bulkhead. Everything went together really well. Now we're just gonna go over all the fasteners and check our work, make sure everything's nice and tight, and then we're all done. One thing we did want to mention is earlier in the video, we opted not to use these spacers here underneath the bulkhead between it and the rubber mat. However, we do recommend that you use those. We went back in and installed them later on, and it definitely fits a lot better with them in there. All right, we're all finished with the bulkhead install on the Ford Transit van. We did have to make a slight modification here at the top, like we mentioned, to the header panel. We trimmed the headliner a little bit with some scissors to give us some extra space up there at the top. In the next part of this video series, we're gonna be working on the same van. We're gonna be putting shelving units on the walls, so definitely make sure that you check out that video when it comes out. I'm Michael with Elite Truck, and thanks for hanging out today.